Welcome to the hottest marriage show known to man. We will discuss parenting, relationships, religion, careers, health, and anything else that can fall under. We want to give uncommon conversations the light to help other relationships to flourish through naked truths. Come walk with us as we get naked. Good morning, my love. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
What's wrong? Why is it just like, wow?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I am the woman and the wife and the mother. I am the do.
Did you do anything well today?
No, my water intake. I didn't. I did my walk today.
That's very well because, health is wealth.
Yeah.
So,
I'm working on it.
So what are you particularly working on?
Working on it's such a loose idea. I'm working on walking and water. I gotta start small.
What makes you believe that's small?
I mean, it's not because I can't choke down all this water. It's horrible.
So it seems very large.
Yeah, it is. The walking part isn't though. That's cool.
Why is the walking easy for you?
Because I like the outside. I like being out. Like, we're in Michigan. It's fall, and this fall is so gorgeous. Like, it's warm, but it has a nice little breeze to it. Not too much sun, not too many clouds. So I'm enjoying that part.
Yeah, it has been a blessing to be back in this wonderful weather.
Yeah.
It has not turned for the grim and
No.
It's so cold in the D weather.
No. It's only going to be for like 5 minutes climate change. So
inshallah.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so we're working on water. Anything else you're working on?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I have other aspirations. I'm looking at not career changes, but just things to add to my plate. Things I want to add to my plate, not things that other people are adding to it. So I'll let you know more about it once I establish it a little more.
I got you. I can dig it, and I'm hopefully I can hear it outside of a podcast. But the last episode we discussed a few things, but we said we were going to talk about introductions to possible relationships, possible questions on how to get the meat of what you think you can deal with. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
All right. So we were, I think that you were thinking about ways to help any age group in dating.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking that, like, when we're talking about, we have friends who are our age and just getting married. We've known people who got married at younger ages. And I just think that across the board, and even with us, there were questions that we did not ask that we should have asked. Like, we should have asked, but nobody told us that it was going to be one of those things. I just think that the generation before us, when they got married, they just stuck the thing out and it didn't matter what was going on. And people don't have to do that no more. And they jump out of marriages. And I don't think that they decide lightly to jump out of marriages, but I feel like there are some things that probably could have saved some heartache. I know there are some things that could have saved a lot of struggle with you and I had we thought to ask.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Golly, what is going on? Excuse me one moment. We are back just like that. And I wanted to kind of bring us back to what we were talking about before we departed momentarily from that phone call. That phone call you don't ever want to get when you're off during the daytime.
Come pick up your kid.
Like, dang it. Like, you just like trying to figure out, please just, But, it's cool. But that'll be another day for sure. But we were talking about how introductions to relationships that, like, I guess growing up in just growing up, when was relationships, how was it modeled to you, and what did you think a relationship was before you actually got in one as an adult?
Okay, so what did I think relationships were? What I saw was it was kind of different for me because I grew up with, like I said before, my dad was present, but he wasn't present. Like, the dude lived there. He worked there. He ate there. But he wasn't really involved with us at all. Like, and my mom did everything. So the expectation from me was he is in the house. You had people who didn't have, both parents in the house. So to me, it was normal. And then I started hanging out with my friends. I had a lot of friends who had like really involved parents, but I used to hang with Mexican people a lot. And my two best friends in elementary, their dads lived in the house and were really talkative and, engaged or whatever. But when I got in middle school, I started hanging around with more Black people. And I went to my friend's house. Her dad was always doing something. And it was her stepdad, actually.
What do you mean doing something?
Like, he would talk. You know what I'm saying? He would engage
okay.
with us. You know what I'm saying? And she'd be like, oh, well, my dad's going to drop us off at skating. Or, for me, it was always my mom. So when I got, my mom and my dad got a divorce, my mom remarried. My stepdad was like, if my friends came in the house, he's talking and joking with them. You know what I'm saying? And he talked with me a lot. And the way he engaged with my mom, and like my dad come to kiss her, she would turn to give him the cheek. She probably wanted to give him the fist. But when my stepdad would be around, like, they would drive in the car and hold hands while they were driving. So, I really didn't know what marriage was supposed to look like. I figured, though, that it was probably supposed to look like my stepdad and my mom.
So, when you say that, did you consider what it took to make something look like that? And the reason why I'm asking you that is because we're trying to figure out the type of questions, effective questions you ask to weed out, wasted time.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. So I associated how the father-parent relationship was. I valued that more. And I felt like the ones who were better fathers were going to be better husbands. Like, I got a better stepdad and he was more loving to my mom. So to me, those things were tied. So when I wasn't seeking out a husband in college, but when I met you, and, I already told you I had this perception of you being raised by a man. So you were going to be this really engaged father. And I was like, oh, it'll be good. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be all right. But no, what I missed out on it was really superficial. It was really based off of me looking at what I had experienced from a teenager's perspective. I wasn't looking at it as a mother. I don't think I ever asked my mom, like, what should I be looking for exactly? It's just not discussed. And I think that there was the perception that, if you finding somebody in college, you got a degree, y'all can get jobs, and then you're doing a great job, and nobody really questions the quality of your choice.
Correct. And thank God for your lack of education.
Look, I have education. My lack of sense.
Look, first of all, education can be viewed in so many different ways.
It can be. So but there were definitely questions that I should have asked. But I felt like I checked all my boxes.
Well, I think the boxes that you checked were, like you said, it was superficial, and I think that's anybody's mistake. So, what could you have done to prevent this wonderful life you live now?
One of the things I think became, it's an ongoing thing off and on in our marriage, is understanding commitment and responsibilities to outside family versus the family we made. I didn't really know how your family worked until I was already in it.
And I didn't even know how it worked until you showed me how it worked.
Yeah. I mean, even in the beginning, I didn't understand. And, you know, I didn't understand really. I thought I understood your dynamic with your mom, but I didn't. Your younger sister, I really didn't know anything about the depth of your relationship and the complexity of it. I never asked, and it seemed like I should have.
Well, it's crazy as you say that. I didn't know how complex it was until I became an adult.
Yeah.
Like a real adult.
I mean, but those things are, I should have known that. I should have. Everybody tells you, okay, so look at how he treats his mom. That's how he's going to treat you. That didn't apply to us because your mom, you and your mom, I hadn't even met her until your father passed away. And
but you used
by then my nostrils were all the way open.
Yeah.
And even then, I just didn't know. And I really wish that I would have been more thoughtful or known to say, like, let's talk about how we relate to our family and the dynamics.
Well, I know what you could have done. Because I mean, I know that it's easier because I know what I would be able to ask myself. So if I was a woman and I'm trying to get to know me, you hit it on the head. You definitely want to check out the dynamics of the family relationship. Mm-hmm. And no matter how minimal it is, you won't ever get the true idea of how they view it, because however they present it, it depends on how significant it is to them.
And it's your own self-awareness. You can only tell me what you're really aware of.
Correct. But if you were to say, like, so if you say, so how's the relationship? Well, all you had to do is like, so how did you guys grow up? And I can tell you, like, I can say, my mother left when I was 14. Didn't have the best relationship with her. I blame her for a lot of things. But I mean, I'm just thinking at that age, I'm like, my father's a great guy. He helped me become a man that I am today. And, my sister, she's trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. But that wouldn't have given me anything.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, but if you want to ask, you got to say, like, so how often do you see your mother? How often do you spend time with your sister, or
for real?
When you're with your father, what kind of conversations do you have?
That's true.
Because I can tell you, me and my father, we only spoke about sports and women. And if I would have told you that, you could see that it's, where am I getting my guidance from?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if this guy really thinks that he's got it, like, who is he modeling from? Mm-hmm. So you like, he ain't modeling from nobody. He don't know where he going.
Out here blind leading the blind, dummies talking to dummies. But and that's, I think that was what we were talking about in the last one, talking about our kids, looking out to their peers to kind of, and social media and the world around them to guide them and where to go. For sure. And that ain't it.
Oh no.
But at the same time, you could have been guided more closely by your father, and it still would have been not the best.
No, I do know, looking back, I never, I used to give him so many flowers, and then I took them all away, and then it's like, he deserves a lot of flowers.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't think that, we could get guidance from our parents. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting the best.
Oh, no. Oh, I totally get it. I'm just saying, like, he literally did the best he could do. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and what I'm saying is that a lot of times when I reflect on him, I just kind of depict him as this bad guy, and I don't let people know that, like,
He did the best he could.
He did
what he did
no,
what he
I'm
could
just-
with what he had.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I don't know another man grew up like, I mean, that raised 2 kids in that circumstance like that.
Well, and I guess when I'm looking at it, I'm just saying, and we're not asking anybody to be psychologists because we're just not. We're not able to, but it's a rabbit hole. If I would have asked, then what would your response have been? Then what would be my follow-up question able to figure
I can tell
out
you
stuff.
though. So even if you didn't, you would have been like, okay, this is way too much. I don't need to be involved in this. That's the point. You were like,
yeah,
this
and
is something that I'm not interested in going further in.
Yeah, but the idea is not to find a way to weed people out.
It isn't?
Or I guess, but I feel like it's a
Shoot.
It is a way, but there are people who I feel like there are things that some people are just not cut out for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Saying?
But there are people that are.
Like with me, if we would have ever had a conversation about mental health, and I would have told you about my dad and his diagnoses and how we've struggled with him, my brothers and I, then you would have had an idea. Like, remember, hey, you remember when I was like, hey, sometimes I just feel like this, and you were looking at me like, is this chick going crazy?
No, I did.
I know.
No, but I'm saying like I just didn't I didn't understand how you started sounding like that, and if I wasn't in that, like being able to talk to you afterward, like years later, and say, "Hey, I really thought like something was wrong with you."
Yeah.
To me, like I was like, that's how it really got to me, and then it was coming from all over. The mental awareness was coming like from different areas of my life.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. Number one, some people, depending on how. It's not just whether or not there's a mental health history. It's how did your family approach it? Mm-hmm. Like, do y'all say, oh, he just special? Or do y'all, are you aware of it and you're supportive? Are you aware of it and you brush it under the rug? Like, those are the differences. Are you going to let that family burn, go down burning? Or are you going to be the ones to step in? What does it mean if we step in?
Yeah.
Like, when it came down to my dad and we were trying to figure out if we were going to get him committed or, were we supposed to establish some type of guardianship or something? There was a point where I was like, okay, we need to move him down to Atlanta. But I wasn't saying move him into our house. Like, not that he was dangerous, but I knew he needed space, but he also needed to be closer to family. And so then there's that. Okay, so how involved are you with the people in your family that have mental illness? How do you approach it? Do you, if everything starts falling apart, where are we? Like, are we jumping in? Is it you as the primary? Because when you're in a family of multiple siblings, usually it's a sibling that takes over. So are you the one that takes over? Or is it the oldest? Or, what is it? And we don't ask, and I'm not saying we should never, ever be ashamed or afraid to talk about mental health history in our family, but we got to be honest about being
look, like you said,
present and aware in where are you?
If you want somebody to be there for you, you at least want to give them the heads up to say, okay, I did.
Oh my God, yeah.
like
I told you about him and I needed you to, don't just let that come up later.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can understand why people wouldn't reveal that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to be successful in your relationship, you want to at least put out enough fillers for yourself that maybe some other people can recognize, oh, that's what I'm about.
Yeah. But I think the other thing is like, if we're talking about the 21 questions, what would I ask? Mental health history, definitely. Your relationship with your family, definitely. And then pulling that off and saying, okay, so what about your personal mental health? Like, are you open to counseling? Are you open to, if something came, because my dad, had a dual diagnosis. He was schizophrenic and he was bipolar. And my biggest struggle with him was medication, self-medicating and prescribed medications, and balancing that and all of the different symptoms within his diagnosis and what he would be willing to do. And sometimes he was doing what he needed to do. Sometimes he wasn't. And the minute that I felt like something was not right with me, I had to ask myself, okay, Kanika, I'm definitely open to medication. I'm definitely open to, receiving care, therapy, things like that. Like, I don't want anything to get out of hand. And I think I would look at it as, if you're in a family of people who are aware, but you sweep it under the rug, then am I going to be dealing with someone that, because some mental illness, you're going to find it in this family member, that family member. So when it hit me, am I going to be the one that's going to deny it and then let it just take us all down? Am I going to be the person that's going to own it and say, okay, let's get a hold of this? What would happen if I did fall off the rails? So where would you be? Would you be somebody to be like, I'm taking the kids and I'm going? You know what I'm saying? Those are all things we got to know.
Very serious. Well, you know what's crazy? This is the reason why I know that you're really crazy, because I know I was not the unconditional love person.
Oh, I was.
And I told you that. I was like, look, I'm putting you in a home. And I was like, and I told you, I was like, if I'm like that, I want you to put me in a home. Because I said I didn't want to like keep you away from your best life.
I got it.
And you know what's so crazy is just thinking like, if like nobody talks about that, but you know, so I just want to put an asterisk at this point. Like, we're thinking about ways that would have increased success in a relationship with the information that we have now. Because I know people like, I'm not asking all that for a relationship. Well, if you're participating in adult activities, you would definitely like to have an idea of who you may be tied with for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And let me just say that we're not saying that all mental health means that somebody gonna get locked up or put in a home later. But we were saying that, you know, regardless, like when we talked about strokes, or, you know, how if you become immobile for whatever reason and you need care. And so there were a lot of questions. There were a lot of things that we ended up having conversations about because something happened in our family at the time. We were already in the marriage. Yes. We were already, you know what I'm saying? And then you got to be like, hey, so if that was me, what would you do? But, you know, I think that it's not going to be the first date conversation, but I don't think that you should have the conversation after I'm in love and popping questions.
Yes. And I think that the context of, the basis of all questioning to see if your time is worth being used should be the most difficult question, so you can see if it's even worth going forward. Agreed. I think that the way that we approach relationships, because we can just get in and out of it, but if you value your time, you would try to do something that's going to be more effective. And I feel like the way that I view it now, like I recently told my wife that if, you know, something were to happen to us, I don't even know how I would like start the relationship thing again. Before, I was so closed-minded on what I thought a relationship consisted of that now I feel like I would be wasting everybody's time, because I've given so much to this woman. Now I feel like I don't want to invest that much time into anybody else. And I feel like the only way I can truly get the most out of this woman is by investing into her, showing her how much she means. And I'm like, for her to leave me means I got to start over from scratch, because I feel like I love you more than I've ever even understood the word to be. And the things that you've allowed me, that's why I feel like they will not go through what you went.
Not at all. Like, I want you all to know that we're going over these questions as practice, because these are the ones that we're going to be teaching our kids.
For real.
You are the guinea pig. Because I think that we all learn, you need to ask about his credit score and you need to know how they handle money. Yeah, but
did you what like so he comes from a history of domestic abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like I'm not saying that you look for that, but you need to see what kind of relationship, he had as, who's been in his house, who's been an influence, because it's so different. When you fall in love with somebody, you think you can change everything. So if you're going to fall in love with anybody, make sure it's something that you are aware of, because you end up looking crazy being in a relationship you probably should have never been in.
Like if you were somebody looking at somebody else in your relationship, you'd be like, girl, run. Dude, turn around.
Please.
And go left. Stop this. But yeah, I think that, okay, so 1, 2, and 3, what's your family's relationship? What's your family's mental health history? What are your stances on whether or not you have a mental health history and what you would do, or your expectations of me? So
that was pretty good.
I feel like I kind of was all up in 1, 2, and 3. So what would you ask?
Well, after those, I'm not saying any particular order, but what I find very important, I feel like health. When I say health, I'm talking about food intake and activity. I wasn't very active then, and the way that I actually viewed women was like, if of course, their bodily shape and then their mother.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If
but
her
I
mama
was
good.
I was very narrow minded, and my father told me, he was like, if you want to know what she's gonna look like later, look at her mama. And it's so crazy to think that my father's advice, like, I did follow it, but it was so, I just got lucky anyway, because again, my wife is dope, and I knew it. And I just didn't know it. It was like I had all these signs, but I definitely know that my father told me some stupid stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say it's stupid, because although I'm very happy, like I was just looking at how I was as a man, thinking that this is the way that you approach a relationship with somebody for the rest of your life, because I'm thinking about looks. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's been a blessing to go through this journey with you. But health, and I already known this would have been a problem too. We probably wouldn't have been together if I would have cared about health the way that I do now, because her views on health.
I don't drink water. It's okay.
Oh my God.
I'm working on it. Okay. I don't know how my body is functioning, but it is. So here we are.
Traveling, exposure. Are you willing to do things that your family hasn't done before? Yeah. I really believe that you are only as strong as the people around you. And depending on how close you are with your family, if y'all don't travel, I don't want to try to get you out of your comfort zone hoping that, you're going to love me, and then you're going to do like, no, I didn't really like to travel. Well, so I feel like anything that you feel like you would like in the future should be talked about. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just saying like, do y'all want to go to the D? Do you want to go to Atlanta or Miami? Yeah. Like, do you want to travel?
Would you go to the other side of the world?
Would you go to the other side of the world?
For long periods of time?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And to change your life?
Yeah, that's
to
different.
Get exposed to something that you can't get on this side.
Because some people ain't into that.
Not at all.
And some people might, some people are not into the traveling. They're not into getting on planes and eating different food and all that other stuff. So that's true. If it's a priority for you, or it's something you can't see your life without, that's definitely something that you need to make sure that your significant other would be interested in. So health and travel.
Yeah, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And like, of course, like I said, I mean, this stuff can come. It should just definitely be. You should be dropping seeds about your idea, because everybody comes from different places, and people will assume whatever's best for them or what's worse for them. So if you don't give them enough information, you're allowing them to create their own narration of you. So just be careful with that.
I think I would look at the fact that I would watch how the nieces and the nephews get disciplined. if your significant other has a child, how do they get disciplined, and where are you supposed to fit in there? Do you have to discipline the same way?
We
Can
got
you
lucky with
discipline
that too.
differently?
How did that like? Did I force you to be as hands on?
And when you say hands on, you mean as whooping?
Yeah,
focused. I don't think that it. I think naturally we didn't get whooped a lot. We didn't. Like,
so you whooped your kids more than you got whooped. So you out here putting hands on.
Well, I really can't say no, because they in Dallas, we didn't really whoop them after. Because my thing is no, in the beginning we did, and I think that the concern before was I just didn't want my child to be bad kid. I wanted my child to be well behaved. I wanted my kid, like, I didn't want to leave the room and be afraid of what they might get into, and I didn't feel, but I didn't want to whoop. I didn't want to do that, but I wasn't against it because I grew up with it. But in my head, I thought it was going to be a lot less than what we did in the beginning. Like, it seemed like it just took off, and it was like, and our kids were better behaved than other kids. So I was like, okay, so we are doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But we didn't whoop them every day. I want y'all to know. But like, we were clear on expectations. We definitely used our voices. We used our words, but we definitely used our hands.
Yeah.
But later on, and they'll tell you, like, kids understand. And I realized that they understood what I wanted, and they could tell that, and they understood. And you didn't have to, do any strict, I'm gonna beat you down. Like, yeah. I never wanted them to be like afraid of me. Like, I wanted them to respect me. I wanted them to know consequences were coming one way or another. But I definitely didn't want them to be like, please don't tell my mama. Yeah. I don't want that. Like, that to me, that means that's gonna go across the board. You're gonna be scared to talk to me about anything. So I didn't want that. I just wanted them to understand that
rearing practices
your
are
mama
real,
can come in a lot of different ways. It is. And so I think that looking at, like, if your significant other doesn't have any children of their own, how does the family discipline? Asking them how they were disciplined. And be like, do you agree with how you were disciplined? Do you think it could have been different? Because there are some, like, I couldn't have convinced you in the beginning that maybe we shouldn't whoop them.
Oh, no, there's no way.
No. And I even...
It's not enough information out there for me to... But now I do. I know I do. Yeah. But I do believe that there's a level of discipline that's necessary, because they need a different level of pain. And when I say pain, I mean like awareness, like... Oh,
that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like, and I do believe in that. I believe in negative association. I believe in positive. So, like, okay, if I go over by that light fixture, or, and I pull at the lamp, my mom's going to pop my hand. I understand that. Or she going to pop my butt. I get that. I don't want that anymore. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's a certain level of, once it gets to the point, and there's no line that anybody can ever really say other than somebody be like, well, I don't leave no marks. To me, the marks can be psychological just like they can be physical. Like, you're leaving an imprint on your kid when you're doing this. So we got to be mindful about how we discipline. And with Day in Dallas, it was like talking to them and getting them to understand. That was far more rewarding for me and for them. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, it was. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, where I am now, I look at it, I went overboard, extremely overboard, and like I said, I can accept it because they are great kids.
They are.
But I can say that was a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? They were really little when these things were occurring.
Yeah.
But I can say that it was because it was a learned behavior that I thought was necessary.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't.
But you know what's funny is, it's not funny, but it's funny. It's a learned behavior, and we didn't realize the circumstances under which this behavior was passed on. Like, number one, it was passed on historically. You know what I'm saying? From passed down from generation to generation, history of slavery and what have you, and consequences and what you got to do to get people to act right, right? But also, what we found later on is how the stress level based on your resources. Mm-hmm. Like, you know,
oh yeah, for
people who are, you're strapped for time because you are running these kids left and right. You got to go to school. You trying to make ends meet. You trying to do this, do that. The kid is like the cherry on top of all things that, like, if all things were in order, you have way more patience to be like, all right, let's sit down and let's talk. Like, no, don't do that. When you are stressed and strapped with money, like it and job and relationship is trash and everything else, the minute those kids act up, this is the one thing I can't control. You gonna get it together. And you know, what I didn't realize, and my parents weren't stressed and strapped. Well, my mom was probably stressed with my dad, but it wasn't, and that's why I can say I wasn't really whooped a lot. I know my dad was whooped a lot because, like, history has shown, people have told me the stories. He was definitely a kid that didn't act right. Talking to my grandmother, she was definitely a stressed mother, you know, raising 5 kids. And so I can see how he was passing down what he saw. And my mom, she never really talks a lot about getting whooped by her parents. But she didn't whoop a lot either at the same time. But my mom was the one that was like, if she turned and looked at you, you'd be like, look, whatever is on the other side of that look, I don't want it. Mm-hmm. Never mind. You know what I'm saying? And I used to tell people, I can't make that face. For some reason, my kids, I don't have the gift of the face. But, you know, we just learned that all those things are learned behaviors passed down. And then it doesn't even really apply to us anymore. Like, once you're aware that I'm doing this stuff because it was taught and there were other circumstances that made them that stressed that they felt like they needed to put hands on a kid for a second, then you start saying, okay, let me think another way.
Go
ahead.
No, I was just wondering, when did you realize you were doing that? Like, how did you, like, you didn't know you were in that?
No, but when I was, the kids were still young when I realized I didn't really have to whip them at all. I remember so when Day and Dallas they were still at Trinity. So Dallas must have been like 2 and Day was 4. I remember they both got in trouble one day at school. Do you remember we stripped their whole room of all their toys and left them with just a bed and a pillow and a blanket? I took all the toys, all their toy bins, and I stacked them. In the bedroom, in my bedroom, and they saw their little toys when they come in the morning to get ready for school. They could not have them toys, them things. They were so sad, but they behaved so well for the rest of the week. And then they get their toys back and they learn. They was like, look, if I want to be bored all day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember, you remember when Day kept turning the TV on and you told her to stop? So Day had a TV in her room. And she turned it on. She was supposed to be asleep. And what did you go in there? You turned it off and you said, turn it off. Did you have to turn it off a second time?
Oh, yeah.
So then he leaves out of the room. She turns the TV back on. So he goes in there and you take the TV. Is it the second time he took the TV? It's okay. So the second time he goes in there, he just takes the whole TV out of her room. So Day is like 4. She's like 4 years old. So then the next day, she comes in and she says, Father, I'm sorry for turning on the TV and you told me not to turn on the TV. And he was like, okay. And she just stood there. And he was like, yes. And she said, are you sorry for taking my TV? He was like, girl, get out of here. She never got another TV in her room, y'all. That was like a decade ago. She never got another TV. But the thing is that we began to teach differently.
Yeah.
And discipline differently. And then they had to sit there and think, like, and we even talked to them, like, what could you have done differently? What are you going to do tomorrow that's going to make it where it's not this consequence today? And for me, those were the most important lessons. Like, and even how you used to get disciplined. So your dad used to discipline you. And what would you do, Horn?
Oh, you stupid. See, we supposed to be talking about.
Okay, never mind. We're going to talk about that at a later time because I promise y'all, it's probably at the point where it will be a video just so you could see. Anyway, so we asked disciplining is the next thing. So we had health, travel, discipline. So we're on 6. We're on 7. And we're not going to make it to 21.
Yeah, I think you could use those.
We could start with that.
No,
not in any order. And it's not in any order. It's just at some point you need to figure that, like, have that conversation.
Look, check this out. If you're not having that conversation, you can't say how serious you are about the relationship you're looking forward to. Like, if you're going to put your best foot forward, you don't want to be snuck on some BS later. So, like, I'm not telling you this is the way you do it, but I'm telling you that you can reduce a lot of the bullshit that you encounter by not doing it. And, people going to have their opinions or whatnot. But I'm just saying, with the information that I have today, being married, knowing that, like how I got to this point, I feel like I truly know how to navigate amongst you earthlings.
This dude.
I'm serious because, look, if you're just really nice to people and you come from a good heart and you actually follow through, people will always believe in you. But if you try to take advantage of people, that's when things happen. So, and I will say this, that a lot of people that get taken advantage of, they didn't walk into that on purpose, but you didn't ask these questions either.
That's true. I do think that we be on that whole representative thing.
Yes.
We definitely are our best representatives in the beginning. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if people are trying to sneak us. But I do feel like there are real ugly questions that you need to ask, because it's supposed to be for life. And I know that it's not always. I know. But you just need to ask. I think the amount of friends that we've had get married from when we turned 20 up until now in our 40s, the ones from the beginning, majority of them are gone. They're those early marriages we knew about, they're gone. And there were so many things that they didn't talk about. And I think that that's really what we're getting at. And I'm sorry if I'm long-winded, but at some point or another, as we go through this, I would really like to explore those things, because it's not just that I'm watching other people's marriages, like we're talking about ours. And there are other topics that definitely need to be discussed, and they will be. And I know y'all are looking, like, where the dirt? Like, what are the sex questions? I need to know about the, but.
I don't know anybody who's asking for that.
I do. Because I know. There are the questions about, how often should you be having sex after you get married? And who's sex drive? We're still talking about
before. Look.
But no, listen to me.
Uh-huh.
But I'm saying there are a lot of things that we have to explore as we go along in this, because the questions and the revealing of yourself and your expectations is an endless list.
It is.
And I think that when I've looked online at different podcasts, like podcasts will talk about sex all day long, but they don't talk about all of the other things that go along with it. So I don't want you to think that, we're not going to talk about those things things like that. But I do believe that there are other things that go unnoticed that they need to come to light.
For sure. I'm pretty sure that everybody is definitely tuned in for the excitement of sex in the city.
And when it's not exciting.
Yeah, when it's not exciting. Oh, man. Anyways, before you guys get to sex, we need to be still working on filtering the best opportunity of, having those, filtering the person that you're going to do these things with.
Yeah. You got to weed them out.
Yeah. So like for real, if you don't take anything from me, understand the level of effort that you put into getting a good job, you should put into getting a good person you want to be with for the rest of your life.
Hey, you should be putting in to be the good person too.
You're absolutely right. But I'm saying you're only going to put in the effort.
I'm with you. I'm just saying self-reflection at work.
Well,
just like, and I think that once you're aware of yourself and you get that full love of yourself, you aren't going to settle. And when I say don't settle, it doesn't mean, like I said, nothing is, unless someone is not willing to work on it, like nobody is a lost cause.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So you could love somebody. Not everybody you love is going to be the one you're going to be with, though. And it's okay. But there are some people that you can love that are, for lack of a better word, they're damaged. We all got our dents and our bruises and, our cracks and what have you. But that don't mean throw us away. It's just we all got to be aware and be open to working and fixing. And I don't mean just you doing all the work and trying to fix and stick glue and piece people back together.
Most people don't know that they're broken. So the idea that you think that one person's doing more than the other, I don't think the person who's doing the least realize that they're not doing as much as they could be.
That's up for debate. We can talk about it later.
Well, we'll check this out.
We could poll somebody on that. I'm not saying. No. I understand. Not everybody knows that. Everybody knows that they are not doing the absolute most they could.
What are we trying to do? We're trying to beat up people.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm saying there are some people that know.
You're telling me that there are people out there that's making a conscious effort to do bad.
No, I'm saying that there are people out there that know that whatever they're doing is trash behavior, but it's what they do. And they haven't had a consequence that hurt them enough where they felt like, I need to change this behavior.
So you're telling me people are making conscious efforts to do.
No, I don't think people are like, let me see how much I can hurt this person. But I'm saying that they're doing things and then they're like, it'll hurt them, but they don't need to know. And I'm going to just keep doing it because.
You think people think like that?
I do. I do think there are people like that.
No, I'm saying, but the way I don't know about it. That sounds like not. I don't know. It sounds like people are evil.
I don't know if they're evil. I just feel like they haven't gotten a consequence that is enough for them to stop.
No, I think that whatever they're doing, they believe the reward is larger than the consequence, and they haven't reviewed it and realized that it's not. I really do. Like if you think about whatever you do and you say, is the reward bigger than its consequence? They haven't thought about that, because if they did, they would be like, what am I doing? Like, honestly, in anything that you do, be like, what am I trying to get out of this, and what's the worst? And you think, like, which one's worth it? Like, nobody makes that conscious effort. Look, I challenge all of you to think about anything that you do bad where you feel like you don't want anybody to know, or you could get in a lot of trouble, and look at the reward versus the consequence. And if there was a reward bigger than the consequence, then it's a good thing. It wouldn't be a bad thing.
And look, I got some situations where I wouldn't think that. So,
well, you don't think that because ignorance is bliss. Most of us don't want to make a conscious effort to making the right decision because we're comfortable with effing up.
Maybe.
You just made it sound like that.
No.
Anyways, I feel like we'll be able to give out some more tidbits on ways to create an idea of a successful relationship. Like, we're not going to give them like the right things to do, but at least they can get their minds thinking of questions to ask where, they'll be, I'm glad I asked this question, because if I didn't,
Yeah, just be mindful. We are not experts.
we are not, but you know what? We do have experience. And you know what? I tell you this, we are truly happy being married at this point.
Them EXPE words, they ain't the same. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy marriage, yeah. But I'm not. We're not experts.
Listen, I'm an expert at where I am in my marriage, and I'm gonna tell you why, because I know what works and I know what don't. And at the end of the day, I'm very good at making sure I try not to do anything that don't work. Most of the things that don't work, I don't know yet, but I don't perpetually do anything that you don't like. We can't agree with that?
Right.
It's like I forced her. You better say it. Anyways.
He has his hand on my throat, y'all. No, he doesn't.
See, look, this is, you know what?
He doesn't.
No. What is that called? That's like you guys abusing.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, that's what you did to me.
Well, we're constantly learning.
We are, and I'll say this: it's been a complete pleasure in finding ways to make her smile in different ways. Because I'll tell you this: the way that I treat her now, I remember being like, "Oh, you're a mark." If you did something like that, you like not necessarily a mark. You like that's just not you. I can love her in different ways, in the ways that I can do it, opposing the ways that she wants to, because I wanted to do it my way. And I'm like, she loves me for this. Why should I do it that way? And I realized that why I got to make her love me the way, like why do I have to do it that way? And I was like, I wanted her to smile more. I wanted her to like anticipate my presence. And I realized that I had to listen to what she says she wants versus what I think she needs. And when I started to do that, it got a lot easier. And yeah, so I want people to ask the tough questions so that they can get to this point if they haven't already arrived. And the way that I feel about my wife, I want people to get the cheat code so they can start a lot sooner. Because if you start a lot sooner, you guys are a better team together than finding out who's going to be on your team in life. I know people be trying to like, I'm going to just live my best life and all of this, but it is so dope when you can grow with somebody who has the same intentions as you do. Anyways, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Live from the uncomfort of our sacrifice to lead by example, and always on time and never in a rush. We will catch you next time with us doing too much. Boom.